YouTube, what is going on? HeirofCarthage here. Check out this sweet gift that MSI sent me. This is a custom light up backplate here that was them a Merry Christmas present to me. You can see it's got my picture on it on there with Lucky. This has been a really cool set piece for me to have on my desk. I'm going to keep this around. Really appreciate MSI sponsoring the channel. They've been with me now for years, and I love building computers, and I can't say enough how much I appreciate the opportunity. And since they've been so kind in giving stuff to me to help show to you all, I was like, you know what? We need to make a gift for someone for Christmas. I know it's late now. It's a little late, but New Year, Christmas, it's still here. I have a brother who owns a land surveying company in Oklahoma City, and for a while now, he has needed a new workstation for his business. He has to run some computer-aided design software. He does a lot of number crunching. He has to keep all of his, records and finance, and he wants his workers to be able to remote into a powerful computer so that they don't have to spend a bunch of money on their laptops. They just want something to be able to remote access. So we're going to build him a high-end workstation slash server. It's not really a server, right? But that it can serve that purpose for him. But it's going to be a high-end workstation using this X299 creator that MSI has sent me. Now, the X299 Creator motherboard is really for your creative users or prosumers, you call them. So it's going to fit my brother's business very well, and we're going to build him a great computer for that. Now, this could be people being creative with like photo and video editing, but it can also be like, I think in this case, that my brother using a lot of CAD software and heavy crunching. His kids actually like photo and video editing, so this will be really good for them to learn on. So I'm very excited. It comes with a lot of cool stuff. That first thing I had there was a Thunderbolt Expansion. This is an M.2 expander, up to 4 more M.2 drives, actively cooled with a fan. You're going to have your manual, and of course a bunch of serial ATA cables, and then your wireless antenna. But anyway, this motherboard is perfect for a lot of reasons. One, MSI's new design on the X299, because this is a platform that's been out there for a little while, since the 7000 Series X processors from Intel. They have added an all-aluminum heatsink. These larger heat sinks have more surface area because all the fins really drops the temperature down. And that's great, because what I really want this build for my brother is to last a long time and be expandable. Now, I'm going to put an i9 7900X in this. It's an old 10-core chip that I've had around for a year or two. But this can be upgraded to the latest 10th generation chips as well. Again, longevity. Longevity is what I'm shooting for in this build. I'm showing you some of the features here. You can see that aluminum heatsink at the top. Really fantastic. It's going to keep this thing running nice and cool. One of the other things my brother's going to need is they have to transfer a lot of data via USB. And this motherboard does have USB 3.2 Generation 2. The transmission speed of this is 4 times faster than the Generation 1 solution. So that's going to help him a lot. You can see that was a USB 3 and a USB-C port there. There's more at the bottom. Also, on top of that, there is a dual LAN with a max 10 gig LAN. So it's going to really help him out with transferring large file sizes and stuff. And then also there at the end, I was pointing out the M.2 frozers down at the bottom. So again, the expandability of this motherboard is insane. And that's thanks to the fact that Intel's X series come with quite a few PCIe lanes. Now, I know there'll be some saying, Air, why not Threadripper? I do have a Threadripper chip, but at this point, I really felt like that this was going to be a fun build, and I hadn't built anything X299 in a while. And MSI makes TRX40 and the old, TR4? I don't remember the name of the last socket. Anyway, they have all that if you want it to. Anyway, we're going to install the i9 7900X here. So this processor is a bit older of a model, but again, this can be upgraded at a later point for my brother. That was the whole point of this build. I'm going to build him something that he can easily keep going in the future. You can see here that there's a couple of little brackets here that you got to put back in. I was doing a nice job of struggling there for a second, but then you can pop the little safety cap off. And now we're going to go ahead and set the RAM in. I've got 4 sticks of Vengeance Pro 3000 speed RAM here, and we're going to put it into a quad channel setup, and you'll be getting some instructions from your motherboard if you need it. You can also look on this particular motherboard, and it shows you which slots to populate first, and we're going to go ahead and populate those slots. It's not always side by side or all on one side, so make sure you check your manual and you get this installed right so you'll be running it in the right channels. But I'm going to go ahead and pop these 4 sticks in. Also, when you're doing these sticks, make sure they're lined up straight. You should hear a little click when you pop them down on both ends. You can see that happening as I go through. I didn't actually record the sound. I don't think my microphone would have been good enough to pick it up anyway. We got all 4 RAM sticks installed. We can move on to the next piece. So here's our M.2 drive. This is going to be a 1 terabyte HP model, and we're going to put it up underneath this M.2 frozer to help keep it cool. There's a few screws you have to remove. I've kind of done that already, and I'm going to pull this off here and show you. I actually removed more than I needed to, but I just wanted to show you all what this looked like. These have thermal pads on the bottom of them, and they're able to help keep the M.2 drive cool. Now, if you have good case airflow, you can probably accomplish this, but this is always a nice feature. It just helps spread out the heat that can get on top of these drives when they're under a heavy load. And this is going to be the boot drive. And M.2 is a very, very fast storage, and this is a great way to keep it cool on these motherboards. And we're going to get this one installed. You basically just have to now put this back on top of it once you remove the plastic covering from the thermal pad, and then just screw everything back in, and it's installed. I love M.2 drives too because they're so much cleaner. There's no SATA cords or power cords. Like, it's a way to make a very clean build. But anyway, this will give him plenty of space to run all of his software and to get his system boot and anything else that he needs to run. Terabyte on here should be way more than enough. And I'm going to also later on install a 4 terabyte hard disk drive as a starter for him. And he'll be able to install basically as many of those drives as he wants, or he can use the expander you all saw in the box to put in more M.2 drives if that's what he needs. Expandability. That was the name of the game with this build. Anyway, here's the case. I'm using an MSI case here. There's Sakura 500G model, so Sakura 500G. Pretty cool. It's got a lot of space in it. It's a lot more flashy, probably than what my brother needs for a business build. I've already got a power supply in it from a previous build that you all saw on my channel. And it's got a couple of big 200mm fans, which will give him lots of quiet cooling, lots of place for hard drive cages that I was pointing to there. I've basically got everything wired up. We're in good shape to run. This can handle up to an extended motherboard, but this one's not extended. It's got a cooling tray on the top for radiators, which is going to be great. And then an extra hard drive tray down here on the bottom where I'll actually probably install his hard drive. Now, the back plate on this motherboard is pre-installed. Actually, a really nice feature. It's good to have. You can see it just fits right back here. And then I'll make sure and show you all here how you install the motherboard. This is an ATX motherboard, and that and an extended ATX all are going to have 9 screws. You can see where the holes are there. And they just match up to the standoffs on your case. If the standoffs aren't installed on your case, make sure you install them. And then you gently place it right on top of those, and you should be able to see straight through it. See right there, it's not quite lined up. So I'll have to give it a little shove, make sure it's lined up just right. And then just put the 9 screws in. It's going to be pretty simple. Pretty simple. When you hold the motherboard, hold it from the sides, or there's a back plate on the back. So if you hold it on the sides or on the back plate, just try and not touch the leads, get all the greasy hands on them, or knock a lead off or something that wouldn't be good. So screw in all 9 screws, just snug them. Once they get snug, don't start cranking them down real hard. You can see here I've started putting the plugs in. This is going to be our case lights and power switches, USB, then here USB-C, the motherboard power right there. And then up on the top, I've plugged in the CPU power. You can't see it real great because of the lighting. There we go. So yeah, the CPU power actually has 3 plugs for power in case you need it. Some extreme overclocking, which we don't in this case. And then I got my fan running back there too. So this case is great at managing cables. And then again, the motherboard has every imaginable slot or plug-in that I could need. Let's take a look up here at the tray for the radiator. This is a really nice feature on a case because you can install the radiator outside of the case and then just place it in. And if you're ever going to do maintenance, it makes it easier to just pull it out and get it out of the way too. Very nice feature, both for a custom loop and an AIO. And we're going to be using this Corsair H115 280mm radiator. It's got 2 140mm fans, and I have the pump head set up here for the Intel format. I had been using this on a Threadripper before. It worked quite good for that. Should work quite nicely here. You basically just screw that radiator into the tray. You can see it screwed in up there. And now I'm just going to try and point out the screws where the standoffs go. This motherboard is pre-installed for water cooling, which is really nice. So you can basically just put these standoff screws that come with the cooler right into the motherboard. Makes this very easy, very nice feature to have on these high-end Intel motherboards. Makes water cooling a breeze. Water cooling that doesn't even make sense. One is okay. Anyway, I'm gonna get off the lame jokes. Make sure you clean off everything real good first. Sometimes your cooler may come with pre-applied thermal paste. It's fine to use that if it does. I've used this before, so I'm just gonna make sure and clean it up real good. Look at this. It looked fairly clean as it was. You'll see I still managed to get some gunk off of here. And is it going to end the world if that's on there? No, not really. But it's good to have this as clean as possible so that you get the best heat transfer. And then, of course, you want your processor running as cool as possible so that you have better longevity with the life of these things. And I don't want my brother having to deal with any issues here, so I'm going to do it right. Now, speaking of doing it right, you probably shouldn't do it with a paper towel. Coffee filter or something like that. It won't leave any filaments or strands or anything is better. Then you just put some thermal paste on if like I said, if your cooler doesn't already have it pre-applied. You know, a little bigger than a grain of rice ought to be fine for a processor of this size. The original little desktop Intel's grain of rice was perfectly enough. Honestly, as long as you don't put too little, it's okay. If you put too much, it's going to squeeze out all over the place and be a mess. So just get it right. Anyway, you just get this lined up over the standoffs. Then there's 4 screws you can see here. Just screw it in. I usually just finger tight these. I get them tight with my fingers, and I don't go any tighter than that because I just don't want to short out anything on the motherboard. So don't get crazy with the screws. All right, we've got all that stuff installed. Just a few last things to do. You can see how I manage the cables here. You can use these standoff screws to manage the cables. And then you can move these these tubes around a little bit to make room for the graphics card. We're going to use this first PCIe slot because it's a 16-lane slot, and that's what we want. I'm going to use a little MSI GTX 1660 Ti. I don't need graphics power, really, for this. We don't need a workstation like a Quadro graphics card. He's not going to need something that crazy, which would be really good at CAD, but this thing will get the job done. I had it sitting around. It'll be fine if he needs to do some video editing, like with his kids, and this thing will handle CAD just fine. And then this is the hard drive tray. I've got it all ready to go. I hadn't actually purchased the hard drive yet, but it'll be in there by the end of the video. So you can check it out here now. I've got everything put together. Just want to show you what it looks like. I love the doors on this case. Just easy access to clean, do maintenance, change out parts. They're easy to get on and off their hinges. Really nice features that they threw into the case. But anyway, you can see the motherboard looking very, very nice. Great platform for this type of build. Look at all the input-output on the front of this thing. Fantastic case, brushed aluminum look. Should look very nice in his office. Tons of USB ports back here in the back. And remember, these are going to be the fast ones too. Faster than Generation 1. So he can get his stuff transferred here off of his devices from the field. And then in the back, another door on the back. Another thing I loved about this case was the cable management. It's just really easy to get all the cables, Velcroed down and get everything looking pretty nice and clean. I've got the cables ready for the hard disk drive. I'm going to go get it. Obviously, I hadn't gotten it yet while I was filming. Let's turn it on, though. See if it boots. I actually booted it before this, so yes, it did post, but I was going to show you all what it looked like. Obviously, you can change the colors, turn off the colors altogether by using MSI's Mystic Light software that you get with the motherboard, but just kind of give you all a look at how it came together. It's really looking good. At this point, I actually took some video. I didn't get to take a video of it, but I called my brother and be like, hey, I know you've been needing a computer. Well, here you go, man. I got it for you. So he was very happy. So MSI has given me a gift for years of sponsorship, and I've tried to share that with you all some with some giveaways and tips on how to build, because I love it too, and I would love to see you all get into it. Now I'm super excited because my brother really needed this for his business, and this is going to be a fantastic workstation for his business. I told him about it. He was jazzed. He's absolutely excited, and he's going to get it to work in his office as soon as possible. I've got the 4 terabyte hard drive down in the cage now. You can actually see the top of it there. So this thing is rocking 5 terabytes of storage, and you can add in so many more drives to it. So this thing is going to be perfect. It's going to handle as many files as they need, and if he ever needs to upgrade it, the processor can be easily upgraded. Tons of USB capability. It's going to run nice and cool because of the new aluminum heat sinks. And then the 10 gig LAN. He's in the city where they do have fiber internet. It's going to be perfect. They're going to be able to have great transfer speeds and remote access to this thing. So very, very excited. Again, thank you, MSI, for the years of sponsorship. I really am excited to give this to my brother. And if you all have any questions about how to build a computer, this one was a high-end desktop that's going to be used as a workstation in a business. And that's what this X299 Creator motherboard is best for. However, I've got another video coming up soon, which is around building a more budget gaming rig, which I know is probably what most of you need. But again, this is more for like the prosumer and the business user. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed it. See you soon.